I'm Nathan.
I'm Timothy.
And I'm Thomas.
And we had Act 2, Scene 3, where the group finds Duncan's body in the castle. In relation to this, I researched how stress can impact decision making. What did you research, Timothy?
I researched how different people process grief differently. What did you research?
I researched how ambition could be harmful to you if you don't do it correctly.
And to begin, in my study here, it says that in 2012, many people were subjected to stress before a medical examination, and the people who were subjected to it tended to make decisions out of habit instead of thinking through. For instance, in the play, Lennox and Macduff, once they find the body out of impulse, start to create panic and more disaster because they run around the castle screaming and saying, "Oh, we need to wake everyone up." And that can kind of links to the next part here, where the brain can enter a survival mode when in high levels of stress, which can be positive. Like, for instance, with Thomas's research of ambition, and because Macbeth and Lady Macbeth were so ambitious, they were able to act calm and collected in the morning despite knowing the murders. However, the brain can also make illogical decisions, like Donalbain and Malcolm, who both panic instead of trying to back themselves up when they're kind of accused. Not really, but when they instead of protecting themselves, they just flee to a different country, make them look way more suspicious. And that can kind of tie into Thomas's ambitions with Macbeth and Lady Macbeth.
Yeah. So in this source, it talks about how what is it? Oh yeah. How you should create more or by doing less, and I can contrast to that with Lady Macbeth, how she tries to urge Macbeth to do more and more, he frame the guards and erase the evidence, all that stuff, and I can make her more irritated and edgy or on edge. And another thing is drawing boundaries between work and personal life. If Lady Macbeth didn't even do that either.
Yeah,
she just screaming at Macbeth to achieve into becoming king and queen instead of balancing it out and wondering if it would affect her husband's mental health. And another thing is use self-reflection to set her own experiences, and she never does self-reflection until later on in the story.
And then she ends up killing herself because of it.
Yeah, she ends up killing herself because of the guilt.
This also relates to my article where I researched about grief and how different people process grief. And for example, during our play, for example, Macbeth, he knows that he's killed Duncan, but he's fearful, kind of because he's scared that they'll find him guilty. But while others Malcolm and Donalbain, you guys, their initial thoughts were just to run away from the grief because they were scared that they were gonna get killed next. And unlike Banquo, which was really surprised about the king's death, we can portray these characters with their emotions, heavily on emotions, because all of our research is about people's emotions. And during our play, this is where we find Duncan's death. And so we can focus a lot on their emotions and more on how they act after learning the news of the king's death.
Yeah, and for instance, Lennox and Macduff, the way they respond to the grief is by panicking, obviously, right? And yeah, furthermore on Macbeth's response to the grief, he just goes along with it better instead of cracking under the pressure. Yeah,
he just he stays calm, he pretends to be panic and scared and distraught, but instead he just calm and
even though he knew what he was
going to plan.
And Donalbain and Malcolm, he said, they respond to the grief of losing their father, not with much sadness, but instead of how they can protect themselves from persecution, instead of trying to
defend themselves,
which ends up with them.
Like
Being
more
framed.
being
framed.
framed and being more suspicious than they should be.
Yeah, and also with Donalbain and Malcolm specifically, they're like really scared and like fearful, but their stress and anxiety are like really shown with their character of the fear of death. Also because of Banquo, his way of processing grief was just he was just scared and like surprised that this happened. With like other characters too, like Macbeth, Macduff, and Lennox, and so
So like that like sums up the mass of our play and our research.
Yeah. All right. Now we cut to the play.